Hello again, this is David Cerns from Haley Marketing Group, and welcome to today's Valentine's Day special Lunch with Haley webinar. First, just a little bit of housekeeping. I understand there was an issue with downloading the slides, and to let everybody know that is being worked on even as we speak, should be resolved momentarily, so you'll be able to get the slides for today's webinar, because we're going to cover a lot of great ideas, in fact 30 of them, that we are going to make our best attempt to get through in the next 60 minutes, more or less. Today on the phone with us, we have a big crew from Haley Marketing Group, representing project managers, marketing advisors, and our social media and SEO team. So everyone will get to introduce themselves as we go through this, but I'm going to, in the essence of time, kind of just get things kicked off by introducing today's agenda. So the first and most important question is, why are we here? Well, what today's webinar really about is ideas, and you're going to see some ideas that some of which may be kind of obvious to you, some of which may seem kind of crazy to you, some of which hopefully will seem like great ideas. But what we're trying to do is stimulate your thinking, getting you to think about new ways that you can market your staffing services, new ways that you can take advantage of new technologies and marketing techniques to recruit better. The bottom line is we're here to provide ideas that will help you find new ways to better sell, recruit, and service your clients. So what are we going to cover? A lot. We're going to talk about some marketing essentials, some of the newest trends in social media, websites, online advertising, and remarketing. We're going to talk a little bit more about content marketing and kind of, you may have heard the term content marketing, you may have heard the term inbound marketing, the evolution of where that's going. We're going to throw at you a whole bunch of low-cost marketing ideas, and our goal is 58 minutes from now that you'll be thinking a little bit differently about how you can market your business. So we're going to kick things off with marketing essentials and best practices, and we've got a couple of our project managers, Kelly and Steve, who are going to get us started. So guys, floor is yours.
Thanks, David. To start off with, we are going to talk about planning, and as with anything you do, good marketing starts with planning. If you don't have a marketing plan, it's not too late to develop one for 2012. Marketing should be a well-defined part of your overall business plan, and you should be able to set a budget, set measurable goals during this planning session. I'm going to turn over to Steve. Yeah,
Thank you, Kelly. Branching off of what Kelly talked about in terms of marketing planning, the idea here is just to take an afternoon and evaluate all of your marketing efforts. Look at what you do good, what possibly you can do better, but look at this all in relation to what are your goals as a business, as an organization, and then how do you strategize to achieve these goals? What marketing strategies do you need to implement to reach your goals? So take a look at your tactics, your advertising, your digital media, your social media, public relations, and look at what you're doing well, what you can do better, and within those identify opportunities to grow your business, and along those lines leveraging your strengths and bolstering your weaknesses with these marketing initiatives and strategies. And finally, along the lines of what Kelly said, you need to make a plan and stick to it, because as a wise man once told me, those without a plan are open to the next best thing. And I'll throw it back to Kelly. I think she had one more thing to add.
Yep, and while we're talking about planning, the one thing to keep in mind is you want to leave some room for flexibility. We don't have crystal balls as to what's going to happen in the next 9 months, so you want to be able to adjust to changing business and marketing environments or opportunities. So don't stick to your plan so strictly that you're not able to adjust as opportunities come up.
Good, thanks guys. All right, marketing idea number 2. This one I'm going to take, and I feel like I'm going to eat some crow here, because for years and years and years I have said that if you're in the staffing industry you can't differentiate on service. And the reason I said that is because great service has become table stakes. You have to provide great service if you want to attract clients. And I would have said the same thing about other industries as well, and then along came this little old company called Zappos, who probably everybody knows, a company that went from 0 to more than $1 billion a year in sales, and as their logo states, they're powered by customer service. And I'm actually reading a book about their company, and the fascinating thing is it really wasn't by strategy they became service focused. They didn't have enough funding to afford salespeople or a marketing team. So they ended up investing heavily in service, but not just better service, service that takes their business to a whole new level. Policies in terms of what you can order as many pairs of shoes as you want, and they pay for the returns. They built things into their service process that nobody in their industry did. So if you want to really differentiate on service, take a look at your service process and think about how could we totally elevate our game so we're not just a little better than other staffing firms, we're truly different than other staffing firms in terms of how we provide service. Maybe it's through the hours, maybe it's through the speed of response, maybe it's through ways that you service the clients, or better yet, maybe even ways that you service the candidates, because as a whole, where our industry falls short the most is in our service to the candidates. And if you look at ways to radically improve that, that could help you attract more candidates and then better service your clients. Idea number 3, it looks like they gave me 2 in a row, so I'm gonna take the next one, which is committing to education. What we see all too often in the staffing industry is we've got great salespeople who are wonderful at building relationships who don't know enough about the financial model behind staffing. They don't know enough about how staffing can make a bottom line impact on your clients' businesses. And on the slide you'll see the little equation, R minus E equals P. Revenue minus expense equals profit. Well, think about it. When you're selling to any customer, your sales team needs to think about how are the employees we're providing driving revenue for this business, or how are they reducing expense? If we're higher cost delivering the same people, those customers aren't going to continue to use us. So we have to find ways that even though we may charge more, we deliver a lower total cost of service. We drive down expense. And that means we need to train our salespeople not just in the economics of staffing, but also the economics of our clients' businesses. So we understand what the implications are to the client if they don't have enough people, or if those people are not high enough quality, or what the difference in output is for a high caliber worker versus an average worker. If we can help them to understand those implications, help them to quantify them, now that education turns into those salespeople being much more capable, consultative sales representatives. Idea number 4, Matt.
Thanks, David. Everybody's probably familiar with do you want fries with that, and just the idea here is that you constantly want to upsell, especially your higher margin services. And you want to make sure that upselling is not an accident, but is a part of your sales process after every close. So you want to look for other add-on services you can provide that would further enhance your value to your clients. You know, you might offer to extend an assignment or offer drug screening or assessment testing services. But I think a more strategic way to go about this is to repackage your services to give clients more options and value, where each option adds value comes with a small increase in price. And you're familiar with this at the car wash. Probably the most popular example is, you know, when you go to the movies and you can go from a medium to a large popcorn for 20 cents. And our research has shown that 80% of the time that if you provide them with the proper solution, that the customer is going to go with the higher end option. And what this allows you to do is switch the conversation from who am I going to buy from to what package am I going to buy. And this really allows you to brand your core offering and show value. You know, what this basically does is have you say, instead of saying to the client, I'm going to get you an employee, you know, you brand it as, I will find you, you know, we'll recruit qualified individuals, assess their skills and experience, validate their abilities, present only candidates that fit your needs, schedule interviews, onboard candidates you approve, and manage your employees during their tenure at your company. And the other thing that allows you to do is increase the price of your base level service as long as you're showing your value better.
Excellent. Thanks, Matt. All right. And Kelly, you're going to come back to us for idea number 5.
Yep. And idea number 5 is really don't lose sight of your brand. I often get asked, what is a brand, and really, why do I need one? And by definition, a brand is a name, term, sign, symbol, or design, or the combination of them that uniquely identifies your company. Your brand is the sum of the experiences and perceptions that your customers and prospects have about your company. On screen, you see 3 very popular brands, and each one of these should generate a feeling, an experience, or an emotional response from you, whether it's good or bad, actually. But why do you need a brand? A good brand will deliver your message clearly, confirm your credibility, it connects to your target prospects emotionally, and it motivates your buyer. It also concretes your user loyalty. Apple does it better than anyone we know. But today, more than ever, there is a multitude of marketing outlets available to you, from traditional media, collateral pieces, to social media. And while this gives you a great opportunity to present your messaging, it also gives you more of a risk to dilute your branding and weaken your branding. So before you go in and tackle any of these tactics, you want to make sure that you have a very good, strong brand to present in each one of those. In today's competitive environment, you want to have a strong brand that easily identifies who you are in a crowded marketplace.
Great, thanks, Kelly. And we've now covered a few different marketing essentials, and just to kind of quickly recap, the importance of planning can't be overstated. And so many staffing companies, we find they may have a business plan, they may have an annual operating plan, but they may not have a detailed marketing plan that goes through strategies and tactics. Thinking about service and how to change service as a competitive differentiator, not by doing things a little bit differently, but by doing things radically different. Go get that book on Zappos and learn for yourself. Looking at the product you offer, as Matthew suggested, and how you can redefine the product or redefine the would you like fries with that kinds of questions, to think about tying bundles of products together so you're differentiating your product offering. And then overall, as Kelly just mentioned, one of the most basic essentials is having a consistent brand, particularly, as Kelly mentioned, with social media. We're seeing companies' Facebook pages not match their LinkedIn, not match their company website, not match the sales message. Those things all have to be congruent. Otherwise, you come off as a bit of a muddled mess to the audience you're trying to sell to, and it makes it harder to sell. So now we're going to switch gears, and we're going to talk about trends in different areas of marketing. And we're going to start with social media. And Kelly, I think you're up first on social media.
Looks like it's back to me again. In case you guys haven't heard, social media, it's not going anywhere, and it is growing like crazy. It should be part of your marketing strategy. It should be a tactic in your marketing strategy, but don't just use it as a push tool to get your message across. Too often I see Facebook pages that are flooded with just post after post after post. Be social. Engage your customers to interact and start conversations. Run promotions or contests that get your audience involved in the conversation. But don't ignore your audience, or don't ignore especially bad comments or reviews. More than ever, people are online, and they're looking to online communities for advice and opinions before they purchase a product or service. So they're looking for reviews about you before they want to talk to you. They're listening to what others have to say through reviews on websites or Angie's lists. And you can use a social monitoring tool to listen to those conversations. If people are talking badly about you and your service, address it professionally and publicly the way they're addressing you. Oftentimes, it's how you deal with a mistake that can lead to even better results. And if someone is talking good about you, thank them and acknowledge them. Again, people are talking daily about products and services, and you should join in the conversation. And just an example, I know David actually had a great experience. I believe it was with Land's End, he wrote a great post about them, and we got a very nice acknowledgement of a shirt, I believe, with our logo on it.
Yeah, got a shirt and a bag in the mail about 3 days after I posted something on Twitter.
It was a very quick response, and we still talk about it 2 years later, I think it was.
Exactly. All right, thank you. Moving on to idea number 7. This is one for everybody who does recruiters. You probably already know, but social media has become the new cold call. And I actually had a different slide prepared for this. And when I got a LinkedIn message from someone 2 days ago, and very nice email or in-mail from a gentleman who's a direct marketing recruiter, sent me a great message to reach out to me to get me on his list for contacts for the future. Blew me away. He had done a little bit of homework. He was nice enough to flatter me a little bit by saying that I was one of 2 people who came up in a national search that he had done, and that he wanted to connect with me. What a great way to make an introduction. Now, if he had just picked up the phone and attempted to call me, he never would have gotten the time because I wouldn't have known who he was. Now, Jerry has my time, has my attention, and I'm eagerly looking forward to the emails he promised to send to me that his company distributes. So social media, particularly LinkedIn, to a lesser extent Facebook, sometimes Twitter, are a phenomenal way to augment what you're doing in cold calling. We've been recommending to our clients to dedicate 15 to 30 minutes a day of their salespeople's time just to do LinkedIn networking, and sharing in groups, which we'll talk about more later. Steve, idea number 8.
Thank you, David. Idea number 8 is all about two-way marketing communications, and in particular using social media and blogging to achieve this. And I know Brad will probably go a little bit more in depth with this later on, but I think especially small businesses and maybe staffing companies included, too often we spend too much time worrying about the messages we're putting out rather than focusing on the messages coming in. As you all know, client and candidate feedback is essential, so it's important to listen to what they're saying and then tailor your marketing to whoa.
That's where the music came from.
That was I wasn't expecting the musical interlude, but that was nice. So it's important to take what they're saying and then tailor your marketing messaging and your strategies to the feedback you're receiving. You can overcome negative feedback, or you can leverage the positive feedback you're receiving. Some of the ways to engage in this two-way communication, like I mentioned before, is through blogging. People can comment on your blogs, pay attention to what's being posted on your social media pages, and you can even you can go the old-fashioned route and use surveys. There are great free survey tools out there like surveymonkey.com. Take the time to put together a quick 10-question survey and send it to some clients and candidates and find out what they really think of your organization. And then, of course, there's always the old fallback, a good old-fashioned face-to-face conversation. But it's overall important to make sure that we're participating in two-way marketing communication.
Great. Thank you, Steve. Rachel, tell us a little about some of the new social media sites.
Sure. Pinterest is one of the hottest, if not the hottest, most popular new social media site. If you haven't heard of it yet, you will. TechCrunch recently reported that Pinterest hit 10 million monthly views in the U.S. faster than any standalone website ever, which makes it the fastest growing website of all time. Initially, users were seeing that it was mostly used by housewives or brides-to-be planning their recipe ideas or pinning their wedding dresses. But now more and more we're seeing that it's being used for marketing ideas, and business services are really starting to pick up and use it, and it's a really powerful tool. It's easy to use, it's image-driven, and it's user-friendly, so it's a great tool. You can pin anything with a picture on it, so it's got potential to be seen by any Pinterest users, not just people who are following you. Some ideas that you could use it for, as far as staffing goes, you could pin resume samples or pictures of appropriate interview attire, industry infographics. The possibilities are really limitless. If you're interested in learning a little bit more about how to use it, I posted a blog post on our Ask Haley blog with some articles about how to use it, so you can check that out. I also created some pin boards myself of examples of what staffing companies could be using Pinterest for, and you can check those out as well at pinterest.com/Rachel@Haley, and you can get some ideas there. I actually have a screenshot up here of some of the ideas I've already started with, and I encourage you to check it out and play around with it. Like I said, it's really easy to use. And another social media site that's new this year, last year, is Google+, and I think Brad has some ideas for you with what you can do with Google+.
Thank you very much, Rachel. Yeah, Google+ is fairly new to the landscape. They're competing head-to-head with Facebook, and you can imagine with Facebook's huge user database already, that's going to be a tough challenge, but I think if anybody can compete with them, it would be Google. With Google+, it's a very similar interface to Facebook. The way they're building users is that they are pushing Google+ on every piece of real estate that Google owns. So when you sign up for a new Gmail account, you're encouraged to use your Google+ account as well. So their users are continuing to grow and grow and grow. Where I see Google+ most important, though, is not in the social media side of things, but on the search results side of things. So with Google's new search algorithms, they're placing more emphasis on up-to-the-minute conversations, what's happening socially, what are people sharing. And Google+ right now is in a fight with sites like Facebook and Twitter over whether or not they're going to index status updates and how they get access to what people are sharing on those networks. So Google+ now is being weighted more heavily in search results. So the more you share on Google+, the more you talk about staffing in your marketplace, the more you talk about workforce trends in the market, the more likely you will be to show up in search results. Again, Google Search is now displaying Google+ updates in their search results. So not only is it important to be involved in Google+ from the social media side of things, but it could potentially impact search results, which could have a big impact on whether or not people are finding your website when they're looking for your services. So my recommendation is whatever plan you have in place for Facebook, repeat that on Google+. Okay, the content that you're sharing over on Facebook, share something very similar over on Google+. You don't have to reinvent the wheel, but it gives you one more opportunity to reach people both in a social setting and in search engines. And just as Rachel put up a blog post about Pinterest, I also have a blog post up about Google+, so be sure to visit askhaley.haleymarketing.com for some more information.
Great. Thank you, Brad. All right, Matt, talk to us a little bit about Facebook.
Yeah, we've actually heard from many clients that Facebook is the most effective way to reach their talent. And something that we didn't really anticipate, but we found from a lot of light industrial staffing firms, is that many lower-level workers that don't have computers at home actually have smartphones and are on Facebook. So Facebook is really the most effective way to reach these level of workers. And also, Facebook can be a rich source of referrals. So you want to make sure to tap your talent for referrals on Facebook as well. I think, David, you're up next.
Yep, thank you. And one of the things we're also seeing is Facebook becoming a supplement to, an alternative to a traditional website. So here on the screen you see an example of a company called MedPro. You can search for them on Facebook and take a look. But the idea is that for a lot of younger workers, particularly the 20-somethings, if you don't have a strong Facebook presence, it means you don't have a strong business. And if you have no Facebook presence, it to them means you're not in business. So even if this may not be your target demographic, as these people get older and as new workers enter the workforce, you need to think about where you're going to engage them, and it may not be at your company's website. Today, Facebook is a great alternative to your website. You can fairly inexpensively create a Facebook version of your company's website. Tomorrow, who knows what it'll be? Will it be Google+? Will Pinterest continue to expand? Or what else will be new? We know there will be changes, but we have to think about, in social media terms, where can we best engage the people we want to reach, and then how do we build a strong presence across the appropriate platforms. All right, and Rachel, back to you. Speaking of Facebook, some specific strategies for getting more people to like us.
Yeah, thanks, David. David spoke a little bit about engagement, and that's really important, and it's probably the most important thing that you can do with your social media sites. But if you don't have anybody to engage, then you're really not doing anything. So one question that I get asked all the time is, how do I get more people to like my Facebook page? And there's a lot of reasons that you're going to want to do that. Like I said, engagement. You're going to want to expand your reach, have more people see your content, interact with more people. The likelihood of referrals increases. You can keep in touch with or stay in front of decision makers at your clients or your potential clients. And it also just gives people a taste of your company's personality, or as Kelly was talking about, your company's brand. So some ideas. The most important thing you can do is just make sure people know about your Facebook page. So put links to it everywhere on your home page, in your email newsletters, emails to candidates, application pages, anything like that. Make sure people know about it. And it starts with who you know. So of course, make sure that people that you know or that you're friends with on Facebook like your page, especially if they're involved in the staffing industry. And another important thing that you have to consider is your content. It's great that you're sharing stuff about your business, but your audience might not always want to know about that. So think about what they're interested in, and that's the kind of content that you should be sharing, whether or not it's always about your services. And create incentives. Facebook contests are really popular. Just make sure that you're following Facebook's rules so that you don't get frozen or kicked out. And some other great ideas are things that you can do in your brick-and-mortar locations. So have signage telling people that come into your offices to visit your Facebook page. Make sure your recruiters are in the habit of telling candidates to like your Facebook page for information about jobs.
And you could have a kiosk in your lobby where candidates could be directed to go, and while they wait, go like our Facebook page, or even in interview rooms in your brick and mortar location. So there's a lot of great, really easy ideas for getting likes on Facebook.
Thanks, Rachel. One more I'd add to that. You talked about the kiosk, but so many people now are using an online application process, and as people are going through the application, that's a great time to encourage them to like you or +1 you on Google.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, we're going to switch gears and talk about another type of new trend, online advertising, and specifically we're going to start with Google Remarketing. So Brad, you want to introduce us to Google Remarketing?
Certainly. Thanks, David. A lot of people aren't familiar with remarketing. It's been around for a little while, but it's a very specific type of Google AdWord that you can purchase. So it's a very specific ad that focuses on people who have already expressed an interest in your company, the low-hanging fruit. So you've spent all these time and resources to get people back to your website. What happens if they don't take action right there? They're lost. Remarketing lets you stay in front of these people. So whenever somebody comes to your website, a little cookie is installed on their computer, and your ads begin to follow them around the internet. Google has partnerships with hundreds of thousands of different online publishers out there, and Google ads are displayed on their site. And in this example, you can see that we are advertising on Forbes.com. Now, we don't have an ad budget to go out to Forbes.com and say, you know what, we want to run an ad on your site for everyone that visits it. That would be extremely ineffective for us and cost a lot of money. But what we are doing is serving up ads to people who have been to our website in the past. So we're doing this through our remarketing campaign, and it's very cost effective. In the past month, we've reached people, or had our ad shown in front of 60,000 different visitors on sites across the internet, and the only time we get charged is if somebody clicks on this ad, and for those 60,000 views it costs about $100. So it can be a very cost-effective campaign and lets you reach your specific target audience that has already expressed an interest in your company.
Terrific. And let's drill deeper into online advertising and talk a little bit about PPC advertising.
Sure. Thanks, David. Google isn't the only place you can advertise. You can advertise on Yahoo, on Bing, but you can also drill down to a very specific audience using LinkedIn ads and Facebook ads. Within LinkedIn, you can have ads show up to specific types of groups. So in this example, I've used Seattle, and maybe we want to reach hiring managers or HR professionals in the Seattle area. What better way to reach them than by going to LinkedIn, selecting a group that those type of people may belong to, like a SHRM group, and displaying ads to them, not only on LinkedIn, but similar to Google, LinkedIn has a content network, so they have publishers across the internet. You can have your ads display on other sites. So again, you're focusing on a very specific group of people, you're honing in on your target audience, and you're buying ads based on that target audience. So you know you're reaching the right people, and you're not wasting your advertising dollars on the wrong people. Within Facebook, you can focus your ads on a specific college or a specific type of professional. In this example, I could run an ad that only shows up for people that graduated from MIT with an aerospace engineering degree. So I'm drilling down to a very specific target market. My ads are very targeted, and I may not get a ton of clicks, but the clicks that I do get are the exact people I'm trying to reach. And because I'm only reaching a very small target audience, the cost is very low. But again, it's very effective.
Great, thank you. And next we're going to switch to an area that's been growing really rapidly, and that's mobile websites and mobile applications. And we'll talk a little bit about their impact on the staffing industry. Now, our next slide was supposed to be handled by Greg, who's one of our SEO specialists, but we ran out of room on GoToWebinar to have any more speakers. So I think, Brad, you're going to fill in for Greg, correct?
I am. Yeah. Why is mobile important? Well, just last year, for the first time ever, I was reading a statistic that more smartphones were purchased than desktop and laptop PCs. So more people are accessing the internet now on mobile devices than ever, and that's only going to continue to grow. We track statistics on about 200 to 300 different staffing websites out there, and what we've seen is pretty astonishing. The Overall website traffic on average for people using mobile devices, I would say hovers between 5 and 8% depending on the website. But about 6 months ago, that was at 3 to 4%. About 6 months before that, that was at 1 or 2%. So you can see the trend that over the last year, we've doubled and in some cases tripled traffic to websites from mobile devices. So what's really important is to have a mobile-friendly version of your website. It's a scaled-down version of your site that offers a little less functionality but is very easy to consume on a mobile device. So if you're in the process of developing a new site or you've just developed a new site, make sure that you keep in mind that mobile traffic is going up and up and up, and you want to optimize your site for mobile devices.
And Brad, one other question. Now, we get a lot of people saying, well, should we be having apps for our staffing company? And what's your take on apps versus mobile sites?
In order for an app to be effective, it has to offer something unique. So if you have something unique to offer, then I think an app is a great idea. If you're just listing job postings, it may not be the best way to get things across. People can go to your mobile site and look at job postings. So you need to think of something interesting and engaging to build an app around. You also need to get your app approved by the Apple Store. So before you spend a lot of time and resources creating an app, you need to find out what the specifications are and make sure that you're building it so that it does get approved by that App Store. The other challenge is getting people to actually download the app. So keep that in mind. It may be difficult to get a big audience unless, again, you have something very, very appealing and something very different that provides a ton of value.
Yeah, I'd concur. I think we're probably seeing a trend towards having more robust mobile websites than the need to do mobile apps, but there are some instances in which the app makes a lot of sense if you need to exchange different types of information, like we were looking at an app potentially to share videos with candidates. That would require an app versus a mobile site. All right, and we're now going to switch gears and we're going to talk about content marketing. And many of you may have heard of this term. It's really about how you use content to effectively engage clients, prospects, and candidates, how you use it to bring people to you and create a steady stream of sales leads. And there has been an absolute explosion in content marketing over the past couple of years. In fact, 90% of B2B marketers now do some form of content marketing, and 60% plan to do even more than they're doing today. And you can see from the slide on the screen, the top things content marketers are doing is they're posting articles, they're sharing content through social media, they're blogging, delivering email newsletters, creating case studies, and then holding in-person or, like this, webinar-based events. The reason for content marketing is it's about sharing ideas that build you as your expertise and position you as someone who may be a thought leader. It allows you to share your local market knowledge. It allows you to collect data, because content marketing, as Steve mentioned earlier, can be a two-way street where you're doing research and then sharing it back with your audience. And you can also, in content marketing, do a lot of applying lessons from other industries to the staffing industry, or applying lessons you learn from one client to another. Why would you go about content marketing? Well, it does 4 primary things for you. Number 1 is it helps improve brand awareness. The more your name and information is shared around the internet and around the groups where your customers hang out, the more people are going to be aware of your firm and what you're known for. It helps you to attract new clients, so it is a tool for customer acquisition and lead generation. And it's also a retention tool because businesses want to work with vendors that are experts in their field. And as a content marketer, you position yourself as an expert. Quality content, the bottom line to doing all this, it is the key to marketing success in the world of search engines and social media. Without fresh, relevant content, you're going to disappear from the online marketing world, and you need to be coming up with part of your marketing plan for 2012 to be thinking about strategies for developing and sharing content. And related to that is idea number 17, turning your website into a content hub, which means a destination for ideas and advice. How do you create a content hub? You have to make your website a place where it's easy for you to regularly add content. The easiest tool to do that with is a blog, but you might also upload videos. You might also create a library of white papers. You might also build landing pages for specific materials people can download or events. And then once you have this hub for disseminating information, you then integrate the hub with all your other channels of communication. So you share stuff through LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook. You use social network or social bookmarking sites like Dig, Delicious, StumbleUpon to highlight your content, so you're bringing more people to you. You're making it easier to get found. But before you can get found, you have to convert your website from being just a brochure about your services to being a hub where you can add and share information. Any information that helps position you as a trusted advisor. And speaking of getting found, we're now going to talk about search engine optimization. And Brad, let's talk a little bit about SEO.
Thanks, David. When people are searching for a new staffing or employment agency, they're not getting in their car and driving up and down the street looking for your brick and mortar facility. What they're doing is they're going online and they're typing in things like staffing agencies in your city, employment agencies in your town. If you're not coming up in Google search results when somebody does that, you're not going to be in the conversation. So it's very important that you look at your existing website and make sure that it's optimized for search engines. Are you getting all of the low-hanging fruit that you can? Those people that are specifically searching for the services you offer should be able to find your company. You should be in the top 5 or in the top 10. If you're not, you need to optimize your site. And you can actually bump your competitors out of these rankings if you optimize your site properly. With Haley Marketing Group, we've focused on optimizing our site for a variety of different keywords. For many terms related to marketing in the staffing industry, we own the top 5 or 6 listings. You can do the same thing if you optimize your site appropriately. And that kind of leads us into idea number 19. SEO isn't a one-time event. You can't just optimize your site and think that it's going to rank number 1 or number 2 or number 3 in the listings forever. It's just not going to happen. I mentioned earlier that Google is looking for fresh and relevant search results. They're incorporating social media into search results. So it's very important that you not just optimize your site once, but you have a plan in place, as David mentioned, to add great content and continue to add that great content. And what we're looking at here is the website traffic for an engineering recruiting firm that's located in the Baltimore, D.C. area. And they put a plan in place a little over a year and a half ago. And they're continually adding fresh and relevant content that their target audience is looking for, that talks about the terms that they want to rank well for, and they've seen over a 700% increase in search engine traffic in just over a year. On average, I see our clients, after a year of blogging, continually adding fresh content to their site. We see between probably a 200 to 300% increase. The biggest I've seen is about a 2,000% increase. So adding good content that is keyword rich has a very big impact on who's finding your website and what new clients and candidates you're bringing in.
Yeah, Brad, before we move on to idea number 20, which one of the things I want to highlight on this slide is the number of different keywords people are finding this company from. And that's one of the things a lot of firms, when they think about search engine optimization, they'll overlook it because they'll say, well, I want to rank number 1 for jobs in Seattle. Well, maybe you do, but maybe there's 500 other terms that job seekers are using. And a perfect example was a staffing company we work with in Kansas City that prior to doing blogging and regular content additions and optimizing their content for search engines, people were finding their site through 70 different search terms. After doing all of the content additions, people found their website through 555 different search terms. So the importance of adding content and thinking broadly about SEO really can't be overstated. And speaking of results, go ahead.
Thanks, David. Yeah, you brought up a great point. People search the internet in very different ways. So one person might search employment agency, one person might search employment agencies. Those results are different. So it's important to focus on a broad range of keywords. So idea number 20, and building off of search engine optimization, if you're doing all these search engine optimization efforts and your content marketing appropriately, you want to see what impact that's having on your website. You want to make sure that it's producing ROI. A very easy way to do this is to install Google Analytics on your site. This gives you an idea of overall site traffic. It can tell you, geographically speaking, where traffic is coming from. Are you reaching the right target market? It can tell you what search engines are driving traffic to your site. It can tell you exactly what keywords people are using to find your site. And it can also tell you what other websites out there are driving traffic to your site. So you can see if you're spending money to post your job on job boards out there. Is it returning are you getting a good return on your investment there? You can use all this data to make better marketing decisions. And you can also look at offline marketing activities. If you've just launched a direct mail campaign and you're driving people back to your website, you can come and take a look at analytics and see if there's any spikes in traffic. You can make sure that email marketing is having a great result. So if you're optimizing, if you're marketing yourself online and offline, make sure that you have analytics installed and take a look at it and see what you can learn from that. And you can also look at what pages on your site you're getting fall off on. If your online application is getting great traffic but you're not getting a lot of applications, you can go in, look at analytics, and determine, maybe this page is too long. Maybe there's not a great call to action. So you can use all this data to enhance your marketing and make sure that you're getting even better results.
Great, and actually that was a great segue that you had there, Brad, because you talked a little bit about email marketing and how you can use Google Analytics to check that. And we really want to talk about the fact that email marketing, despite what a lot of people feel about getting too much email marketing is alive and well. In fact, doing incredibly well, and it remains the highest return on investment form of online and offline marketing that you can do. So, Todd, why don't you give us our first idea for email marketing?
Yeah, thanks, David. This ties really in nicely to what Brad was just talking about with Google Analytics. The example you see here was a client of mine in Cleveland, Ohio. And about a year before he started doing marketing with us, he had Google Analytics installed on his site. So we have actually been able to take a look at the traffic to his website with a year of doing very little marketing and compare it to a year of doing some more advanced marketing with us, email marketing, social media marketing, SEO. So when we took a look at their Google Analytics, since we've implemented their marketing, this client has seen an almost 100% increase in their web traffic. What was also good to see is that there was a 32% increase in new visitors. That means these were people who would otherwise not have found their site if it wasn't for their marketing efforts over the past year. And if we drill down a little bit further, we see that the referring sites told an equally as good story. We took a look at all the websites that link back to their website. The number 2 website that linked back to their website was their email landing page. 1,100 visits over the past year just from their email landing page. So when somebody would receive their email, click through to an article or a resource center or just back to their home page. The number 3 referring site was Facebook, 811 visits directly from Facebook in the past year. So if their Facebook page didn't exist, would these people have been able to find them? We don't know. But the one telling stat was that their email marketing and their Facebook page are bringing in 6 times as much traffic to their site as Monster and Simply Hired combined. So when people ask, does email marketing work? This is my number 1 example of yes, it absolutely works.
Terrific. Well, how do we get some of those results, Todd?
Well, this is excuse me. This is something that I just kind of stumbled upon in the past month or so, and you see the examples up on the screen here, and these are probably some email addresses that are similar to ones that you have on your email list: info at, admin at, press at, abuse at. These are kind of the catch-all emails. A lot of these will go to the administrators. But what I found out recently was that these are not email addresses that you want to have on your email marketing. The number 1 reason, as I mentioned, these are often monitored by administrative employees on somewhat of an inconsistent basis. So you're very rarely reaching the decision makers. So a lot of times it's not even worth it to send to these email addresses. Reason number 2 is that these addresses can be easily found on websites, and email services are aware of this and monitor emails that are sent to these accounts. Therefore, if you're sending a high number of these types of emails, you're actually going to be doing harm to to your reputation in the eyes of email service providers. So what I always tell my clients to do is about twice a year, have someone in your office, an admin person, maybe even an intern or a temp, go through your list and update the information. Contact everyone on your list, make sure that the person is still working with the company and that the email address you have is correct. I know it's going to sound like kind of a tedious job, but it's definitely going to pay off in your marketing ROI.
Terrific. Thanks. And so everybody knows, if you want more ideas on email marketing and you have not already downloaded a copy, we just released a 54-page guide to email marketing for the staffing industry. If you want a copy, the easiest way to get it is to go to our website, haleymarketing.com, and there's a tab on the right-hand side for freebies. Just select that tab and you'll see our email marketing guide as one of the freebies on the list. All right, and now we're going to move on to kind of the rapid-fire session of a few different low-cost marketing ideas, that some of which tend to be kind of overlooked. And I'll start with the first one, direct mail. I've heard so many people say direct mail is completely dead. Nobody should be sending direct mail. Well, direct mail isn't dead either. I use the analogy with people that direct mail has become the shortest line in the supermarket. It's the express lane. Why? Because people's inboxes are full of emails. People's voicemails are full of calls. What's not full is their desktop. It's not full of direct mail solicitations. It's the short line when you're trying to get access to a specific decision maker. And if you've got a great offer, you've got a compelling message, you've got a real reason for someone to take action, direct mail works incredibly well. The key for direct mail success is integration. Integrating it with your website so you're driving people back there. Integrating it with your sales efforts to maximize response. Personalizing it with digital printing so you can personalize pieces for individual customers, or use personal URLs called pearls, which enable people to go to web pages that are just for them. But direct mail remains one of the most powerful ways to reach specific decision makers. The next one I'm going to recommend is thinking outside of the box. And the box I'm referring to here is the traditional staffing cold call, particularly those businesses that still do canvassing calls. Do you have people who go door to door? What are they doing when they stop by at a building? Are they dropping off a brochure, your business cards? Instead, drop off something that will get the prospect thinking. Think about how you can share information that would ask a provocative question, or offer some really great insights, challenge people's thinking. And now the salesperson, when they place a follow-up call, instantly has something to talk about. Next idea. If you got an iPad, use it. Brad.
Yeah, this builds on thinking outside the box. Sometimes what you're presenting is just as important as how you're presenting it. So instead of just going in with your laptop and walking through a presentation, or handing somebody a list of your services and walking them through it, do it in a little bit more engaging way. We did a keynote presentation that this particular company goes out to a sales call. They'll take their laptop with them, and instead of just showing people, they'll take their iPad with them, and instead of just showing people a laptop PowerPoint presentation or talking about their services, they'll actually hand the person they're meeting with the iPad. It's something that they can work themselves. They can go through the presentations themselves, or the sales rep can actually control the presentation right from their iPhone, so they can walk the person through it. And it's a nice conversation starter. It's different. It's probably different from what any other staffing firm in your market is doing, and it's a way to keep that prospect engaged and not have them daydreaming. Again, just the iPad itself has been a great conversation starter.
Thanks, Brad. And now we're going to wrap it up with our final 5 ideas for today's webinar. So let's kick up including idea number 1, idea number 26. Todd. Oh, maybe we lost Todd. All right. Well, I'll jump in. Welcome back.
I got to unmute. My bit of advice is to keep marketing to everyone. Even if they don't need your services today, they might need it down the road. I had one client who actually kept somebody on their list for over 2 years and never heard a peep from them. But one day after sending out their newsletter, they received a call from the prospect who said they were ready to use their services. They'd stayed top of mind and positioned themselves as experts, and that's why they got the business. So there really is no such thing as a dead prospect.
That's a good point, Todd, and it kind of leads us to something else that's important, which is to remember to continue marketing to clients that stop using staffing in a recession. You know, at some point, business is going to pick up again, and they'll start up again and may not necessarily go back to the same vendor. So you want to make sure to touch each prospect and client at least once a month using a combination of emails, phone calls, personal meetings, drop-offs, personal notes, social media, and there's so many choices to choose from. You know, you don't want to dry up marketing. It'll help you through a recession, and it'll have you better positioned when the market turns around again.
Yeah, and likewise, everybody in the industry has seen tremendous growth since 2009. We can definitively say that the companies that continued to market at the worst of times, 2009, when they were really hurting, but they didn't give up, those are the companies that rebounded not only the strongest, but the fastest. If I look across all of our clients, the ones that really kept at it had far more significant growth rates than the ones who pulled back. And the simple reason is if your clients are using less of your services today and you disappear because you're not marketing, when they need you in the future, you're not the company that's top of mind. And that's why we have idea number 27, that when you add marketing with your sales team, it's greater than either one alone. We never recommend marketing without selling. We also don't recommend selling without marketing. You know, the simple analogy would be if you could spend 25% more on selling and get 100% more results, would you? The answer is yes, and those kinds of results are very realistic when you integrate sales and marketing together. And even a very small dollar investment in marketing can make a dramatic improvement in sales efficiency, sales effectiveness, and the happiness and retention of your salespeople. Matt, how about ROI?
Yeah, you just really need to evaluate the ROI of everything you do, and I can't stress this. I can't stress this enough. When business is tight, the last thing you can do, you can afford to do, is waste money. So make sure that you're getting the most bang for your marketing buck, and you can try tweaking your activities to improve response, and just remember that don't be afraid to cut activities that aren't working. One specific example of something you can do is have your marketing activities direct prospects to a landing page on your website and measure the response with Google Analytics. Right now, Haley Marketing Group is currently running a pay-per-click ad for prospects who are searching for staffing websites, and that ad directs users to a landing page that captures their information before they go to and fill out our website checklist form. By capturing that information, we'll know exactly how many sales we get from the campaign. We're going to be able to evaluate the cost and value of these clicks to the penny. And in my opinion, if you evaluate your return on investment effectively, you don't have to spend too much time obsessing over your copy or your design. In this previous example, if you're doing a PPC campaign, you can design 2 ads, do an A/B test, and see which ad performs better, and then put all of your resources behind the ad that's performing better. We don't have time right now, but I'd be happy to discuss ways to evaluate the effectiveness of all your marketing after the call. And I also wrote an article that I think is pretty good about this for our Idea Club newsletter a few years ago. I'd be happy to share that as well.
Great, thanks, Matt. Idea number 29 is to teach your clients why staffing makes sense. And this sounds obvious because you think, everybody in this day and age understands temporary help, understands direct hire, and they know the value of your services. Well, if that were true, you wouldn't see VMS, you wouldn't see purchasing making staffing decisions, you wouldn't see HR telling you can't talk to hiring managers. The reality is there's lots of customers who don't fully appreciate the value that you can bring to them. They don't understand that you can be a consultant, that you can add expertise to their organization. They don't understand that you can help them improve their hiring process. They don't understand how you can help them reduce costs, manage employment risks. It's your job to educate them. As I mentioned earlier, step 1 is to educate your sales team. Step 2 is to think about, from an educational perspective, what do we want to be known for? Where do we want to stand out in the market? Then to think about what do we need to educate people on to give them a reason to want to work with us, and communicate very regularly with our staff first, then our current clients, then our prospects, then the candidates, and then the media, so we can be an influencer in our local marketplace to teach the world why staffing is such a good idea. And finally, please steal our ideas. We love to share ideas about marketing. Today you've gotten 29 plus this one to steal our ideas, 30 different marketing ideas for your business. On our website, there's over 70 different articles. I mentioned the freebies section earlier, so don't be shy about using it. There's 4 great guides there. There's a whole bunch of our webinars that are recorded. And likewise, if you want to steal our ideas and you have a question for us, don't be shy. Email us. Call any of us directly. We'll be more than happy to brainstorm with you and share our expertise. And that brings us to the end of today's Lunch with Haley webinar. Big thanks to everybody from the Haley Marketing team for taking time out of your days to share some creative ideas for marketing. And a big thank you to everybody in attendance. This was a very big event. We had a lot of people here. Hope that you found a lot of value. If you have questions, we will stay on the line for the next few minutes and answer questions. And if not, please join us for the next Lunch with Haley. We have an event coming up in just a few weeks with a guest speaker who's going to be talking about how to lock in customers for life. And we'll have a second event in March with our recap of the Staffing Industry Executive Forum, which we will be attending in about 4 weeks. So again, thank you for the time today. We look forward to seeing you on the next Lunch with Haley webinar.